Well, good evening or morning, I should say, Carolinas. I'm Kit Cloninger, part of the Carolina Weather Group here. I've been rather absent in the past few weeks, just wrapping up my last semester at school. But right now, taking a break from studies, just wanted to go ahead and show you what we've got going on around the Carolinas. Um, I'll go ahead and share my screen and pull up the current radar around the Carolinas right now. That's not loaded in yet, so I'll just go ahead and pull up this right here. We see we've got a couple of tornado warnings. They should be expiring here in the next 15 minutes. This one here over um, Randolph County should be canceled at 3 o'clock. We'll see how that goes. And then this one over Montgomery County goes until 3:15, I believe. So we have a few other severe thunderstorm warnings around the area, one around the Triad, around Greensboro here, and then down here towards Anson and Richmond counties and up into Montgomery as well. Over in the foothills, we have one severe thunderstorm warning that extends around Morganton and most of central Burke County. This one goes until, I don't see when it goes until 3:15 right there. I had to scroll down for it. So we've got a number of thunderstorms around the area. This here, this is a flash flood warning that goes until 7 a.m. this morning. We had a lot of rain coming over the mountains right here in like Boone, Ashe County, Avery, and Wilkes. So looking at this line here in the South Carolina upstate, this looks like it's going to possibly fall apart by the time it gets to the Charlotte area. If not, it should weaken as we've already had this main line of thunderstorms roll through. So it's taken a lot of the energy out of the system. But we'll keep an eye on this for any more severe thunderstorm warnings that could come out of, say, a cell right here as it moves into Chester, Lancaster, Union counties, possibly. Taking a look over here back at the Raleigh radar over Montgomery County, we see the Asheboro tornado warning has gone away, but we can go ahead and check out the tornado warning that is still in effect until 3:15 a.m. for Montgomery County. Looking at the velocity data, we can't really see much of the mesocyclone that was possibly producing a tornado on the radar. It's a little bit too high off the ground. The radar beam is too high to really see much of anything right now. But we can keep an eye on this to see if anywhere here in Chatham County, Randolph County, if there's any need for a continuing tornado warning for this system. Right now, most of this line is making its way through the central Piedmont, and we actually have a watch out here in the southern portion of eastern North Carolina. It looks like it has just recently been canceled. We'll see when the radar loops around. Yeah, it has been canceled for the remainder of the morning. Looking at the Storm Prediction Center, they did have that watch out. It looks like it was until 7Z. So that was, yeah, so that just expired at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So down here, this was a tornado watch. It has been canceled. So Storm Prediction Center looks like they're saying that tornado threat has gone down a good bit. We see those tornado warnings that were there earlier today. This is the last one here that has been canceled. Looking at this full system, we can see like this low pressure has been what's been driving all of the storms that we've had this evening. This is going to make its way through the Carolinas overnight and into tomorrow morning. Most of the rain, heavy rain threat, will be moving out with the rest of this storm system after we get this line here that moves through Charlotte. It'll make its way into the Piedmont as well, and it'll probably die out by the morning time. Go ahead and take a look at that tornado warning here. Still, yeah, we haven't gotten any updates on that radar beam there. So looking back at it, looks like right around in here is where we had that rotation. The blue, that's headed sort of towards the northeast. The gray or green here, that's just a little bit slower wind. So when you have that, it possibly we can start some rotation in there. And whenever we have that, tornado could form a little bit as it progresses through. And we can see how, just tracking that right through here, it's right under here. And this is just sort of a distance from the radar where you can't get good good returns just by the nature of how the radar works. So once it gets out here past Star into Moore County and possibly into Randolph County, we'll be able to see it a little bit better. It'll be lower, so we'll see more of the storm more easily. So we'll be able to see if it needs a tornado warning continued. But for right now, National Weather Service in Raleigh has only issued a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45 a.m. It's mostly from the wind gusts. We can see that just in the description down here. So those wind gusts of 60 miles an hour, like we've had a good bit of rain through the Carolinas over the past few weeks. So 60 miles an hour could easily knock over a tree, knock over some power lines in the process. So that's going to be the main threat for this storm, it seems, with the slight possibility of a small tornado. Um, okay, well, I can. All right, so it looks like they have reissued a tornado watch um, for the Carolinas. Let's see here. 195. Yep, updated 1 minute ago. Still trying to load it in. It was just issued. But yeah, so the tornado watch for portions of eastern North Carolina and northeastern South Carolina until 9 o'clock this morning. So this goes for the next 6 hours over the Carolinas. Yeah, all right, so this is the new tornado watch here in pink. Um, goes all the way down towards Georgetown, South Carolina, through Florence into Dillon, Lumberton, Fayetteville, y'all are included there, and Raleigh on up to the Virginia border and out towards New Bern and Morehead City even. So this is the new tornado watch that apparently they think this second line here may be a little bit more robust than I was setting it up to be. So once these storms move through, that can pose a potential for tornadoes through the Piedmont, and then the secondary line closer to like the few hours around sunrise will be when it gets to um, down east over here in eastern North Carolina. So we'll be keeping a watch on this for most of the night and trying to see here if any of these new storms are forming that may require a severe thunderstorm warning on them or not. It looks like most of these storms don't have a whole lot of hail with them. We can back up here. Earlier, this was only producing barely even just over a quarter-inch size hail, and that's only within the storm. That's probably not even making it to the ground. So hail is not the main threat. Right now, it's really just the winds that we can see posing a severe threat for the Eastern Carolinas right now. And then again, there's the continued threat for a tornado warning right now. hide that real quick. Looks like here we have a batch of winds that's going close to severe. I'm seeing returns around 55 miles per hour, few above 60, and the threshold for severe wind is like 58 miles an hour. That's like, I think it's 50 knots, and so it converts to just under 60 miles an hour. And we saw on this thunderstorm warning up here, this is for Moore County, Randolph County, and Chatham County. That 60 mile per hour wind gusts is the main hazard for that severe thunderstorm warning. Around the Greensboro area, this thunderstorm warning goes until, let's see here, until 3:45 a.m. They always put it in a different spot. But again, this is 60 mile per hour wind gusts as its main threat. And we see that tornado warning has been already just canceled. Sometimes whenever the rotation has not been spotted for a while, they see that it's dying out, they can go ahead and cancel the warning before the issued time has passed. So it looks like that storm itself right now has spun down some. We can see just how the line curves around. That's usually an indicator of like how the storm itself could develop into a tornadic situation. It's become a lot more straight, so less rotation within the clouds down there. So the tornado threat for that cell in particular has decreased. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that secondary line that's through the Carolina, upstate and South Carolina. I'll let that load in for a minute. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read about that new tornado watch. All right, so just looking at the summary here, broken bands of storms will spread northeastward into central eastern North Carolina and northeastern South Carolina through the morning. Continue risk of embedded rotating storms. So yeah, all right, so right here it says embedded rotating storms. We're not going to see anything that you usually see of like a tornado video where it's you can see the tornado coming from miles away. One, we're in the Carolinas, and the terrain itself makes it difficult to see, but also this is overnight right now, so we're not going to really see anything large just by the nature of the thunderstorms themselves, and anything will spin out pretty quickly for this style of thunderstorm. Yeah, they don't go into much more description, but just in case you do wake up and you hear that there's a thunderstorm or a tornado warning for your area, just general tornado safety precautions are to, if you need to, you go to the center of your home, put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as possible. So typically, like under the stairs, you have a closet there. That's an excellent spot. An interior bathroom, that's a good spot. Also in the bathtub usually is a good spot to be. One thing I've always heard people say is to like, if you do have to take that action, always make sure you're wearing shoes. If you have a bike helmet, that's good to keep nearby. And then just wait it out until that tornado warning has been canceled. Usually you can keep the TV on. I'm sure a few other stations have tornado coverage going up. If a tornado warning is issued for the area, they'll go ahead and break in so you can hear that. If you have a weather radio, that's an excellent thing to have nearby. Um, Looking at the second line over here in the upstate, we can see it's sort of breaking up a little bit, but where it's still together and organized, we can see that the storms are getting a little bit heavier rain, so we might see a little bit of a little bit more development out of the second line that I was saying earlier. Right now, I'm not seeing any rotation with these. And of course, as I say that, I spot some. Just as like a small uh, thunderstorm itself, uh, this likely could not produce a tornado. But just by the nature of how it's working right now, there is just ever so slight bit of rotation. So as these storms develop, that could intensify, and we could look at maybe having a tornado warning out as they get towards the area where you have this tornado watch for Eastern Carolinas. It's basically as this line moves into the lower portions of the state down towards the plains here, we could see those storms develop into a storm which would need a tornado warning. Right now it is 3:15, and we've got this main line of thunderstorms which are moving into this bad loop right now. They're moving into the uh, central Piedmont towards the Raleigh area. These storms will continue for most of the rest of the night and into tomorrow morning. As I said a moment ago, there's a tornado watch out for the most of the uh, North Carolina, Piedmont, and southern uh, plains out here, and then also northeastern uh, South Carolina is included in that tornado watch. So places like Myrtle Beach, Florence, Dillon, the Fayetteville area, Goldsboro, Raleigh. Just on the edge, we have Greensboro, and places down towards New Bern and Morehead City and Wilmington. All of these major areas and places in between are under a tornado watch until 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. As this main line of thunderstorms moves through the area, it will be followed up by a second line, and should be out of the way by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So it'll be Friday morning. We've got rush hour, so Raleigh area. Do watch out for any thunderstorms that could produce. One thing a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings around here have is watching out for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, which is its classification for severe. We're not looking at really any hail damage potential. Right now, it is mostly severe thunderstorm warning in the area. Right here, we see a flash flood warning that goes until 7 a.m. for Ashe, Watauga, Wilkes, and Avery counties. They've seen a good bit of rain, and they're actually going to be getting a little bit more here in the next hour or so from this storm system here in Lenore. Looking over here in the Greensboro, Asheboro area, we see a fairly intense line of thunderstorms. These are both severe warned currently for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Might be able to take a look at that over here in a minute. But these storms should be moving out of the area in the next half hour or so. We see that this goes until 3:45 a.m. for the Greensboro and Asheboro area. And then for places like Robbins, Siler City, Goldston, this severe thunderstorm warning goes, if I can find it, likely until 3:45 as well. Yeah, here, until 3:45 a.m. So these storms should move out of the area by that time, and then possibly in places like Burlington, Chapel Hill, and Hillsborough, possibly even into Durham. Those could see possibly another severe thunderstorm warning extended for that area, again for the uh, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts that could down a tree or two in the area. We've seen a good bit of rain, so the soil is uh, easily moved by heavy winds. Looking at, oh, zoomed in way too far there. Looking here, we can check for um, any winds that are in excess of 60 miles an hour, which would be severe. We see a little bit showing up uh, there, maybe a wind gust just over 60 miles an hour. We see some nearing 50. So all of these storm systems could produce some damaging winds just as they uh, gust out. We have a good bit of um, windy conditions through the area. Looking right around here, maybe just an area of very broad rotation. And that's just a matter of, we see this main line of the heavy rain. It sort of bows out, and we see just this extension of the heaviest rain right here across I-73. This gusting forward, moving faster than the rest of the line. Sometimes that can produce a little bit of rotation. And looking at it right here, there's not anything very very intense as far as rotation goes, but we will keep an eye on that. That's something that is sort of like a precursor to potentially developing into the need for a tornado warning. Nothing of the sort right now. Looking down here, uh, basically down the I-73 corridor, doesn't look like there's any need to put out a tornado warning as of yet. But down here around the Laurinburg area, basically points outside of Fayetteville, there are some gusty winds up pretty high that if we get any heavy rain, like right around here, that could produce a gust or two of 60-mile-an-hour winds or higher. We see right here, this severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for uh, around the High Point area and Archdale, um, but it still continues for the Greensboro metro area until 3:45 a.m. Looking at the details for this tornado watch, um, there's a it's saying a 40% probability for smaller tornadoes. Anything larger than EF2 is a much lower probability, but as far as severe wind is concerned, only 30% probability. But that's still significant enough for them to make note of it. Anything excessively severe, that'd be like over 70 miles an hour, which can start doing like roof damage possibly. That's a low probability for the remainder of this watch until 9 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, here's a little bit more of a breakdown. Um, there may be 1 or 2 tornadoes, but anything excessively strong, uh, relatively low chance for that. Just one last quick look at the full southeast radar. We see that we have the main center of the low pressure here. We can actually put on, let's see here, model overlay, just so you can see the well, if I can figure out how to work it, trying to show where the center of the low pressure is. I know, I can just go to, there's always a website for something. All right. All right, so we can see on here the surface map of the United States. We see the low pressure. It's basically over the Tennessee Valley right now, around Tennessee and Kentucky. And that secondary line, this is an older analysis, but that secondary line has the cold front extending through the South Carolina upstate and into Georgia. The warm front is up to our north, so that's why we have this tornado threat. We have most of um, the good conditions for what can produce a tornado is usually right below the warm front and ahead of the cold front. So this secondary line of thunderstorms that we see here, this is basically the cold front right there. And we can see the warm front extends out along this area into Virginia. So we'll keep a lookout for any more storms that could produce a tornado through the rest of the evening. But as this system moves out over the next day, or we'll see a little bit nicer conditions for the weekend coming up. We'll see a little bit of chance of rain for the afternoon on Friday, but or really for most of the morning. Afternoon should clear out pretty well. And then on Saturday, we see around Eastern Carolinas, lower chance for precip, maybe just a little bit for the highest peaks in the mountains, just a few thunderstorms, but most of the threat for the rest of the weekend is going down quite a bit as these thunderstorms move their way out. I think I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Here it's 3:26 a.m. We still have a couple of thunderstorm warnings for areas like Siler City, Goldston, Robbins, Seagrove. I can turn on those counties so I can just list out counties better. So yeah, western Chatham County there, parts of Moore County to the northern side, and eastern portions of Randolph County. Those areas have a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45 this morning, and then areas around Guilford County and more parts of Randolph County, there's again a severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 3:45. These will likely continue to be severe with a threat of winds at or above 60 miles an hour, which can damage trees, possibly knock over a power line or two. That will continue into Alamance, Orange County, and through the rest of Chatham County. Places like Chapel Hill and Durham, they could experience a severe thunderstorm warning around the 4 o'clock hour. But as the rest of this line organizes, it's going to continue through the Raleigh-Durham area through the rest of the morning. Looking over here, we can see that we have this secondary line that's developing in the Carolina mountains and South Carolina upstate. This will be the last line of thunderstorms as we have the cold front move through. We'll just have some of this rain that's wrapping around the low pressure here in Tennessee and Kentucky. That will be the only rain that we will see through tomorrow. And then Saturday should clear out quite nicely for the Carolinas. I'm going to go ahead and turn it in for the night. Everyone stay safe out there. I hope that you sleep well and that storms keep you nice and sleep.